allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the public hearing. Go through all the articles.
Okay, I'm going to read the warrant articles. If you have any questions, just let me know. The first question on the ballot will be for the first select person, assessor, and overseer of the four. Terry Bergeron is running unopposed. The second one is second select person, assessor, and overseer of the four. Tom Godin is running unopposed. The next one is third select person. It's a one-year term, and Lena D'Alessandro and Randy Richards is running. After that, we have school board members. There's two running unopposed, Michael Morrow and Joel Pike. And then also we'll have ballots for the J Village Water District and the North J Water District. George Merrill is running unopposed. And for the North J Water District, no one took out paper, so that will be a write-in seat. Article 3 is to see if the town will vote to lapse the overdrafts and unexpended balances. Article 4, to set the due dates as October 1st and April 1st, that property taxes are duplicatable. Article 5 is to levy a 6% interest rate if taxes are unpaid after the due dates. Article 6 is to see if the town will vote to spend 3/12 of the budget if any budget doesn't fail from July to October. Article 7 is to allow the select board to negotiate and execute multi-year contracts for leasing of equipment, etc. Article 8 is town government for an amount of $503,200. Article 9, general assistance in the amount of $2,500. Article 10, professional services in the amount of $168,103. Article 11, police department in the amount of $801,650. Article 12, fire department in the amount of $264,100. Article 13, insurance. This includes workers' comp, liability, and unemployment in the amount of $117,000. Article 14 is sewer department in the amount of $491,925. Article 15, debt services in the amount of $203,885. Article 16, public works for $1,674,930. Article 17, paving capital reserve in the amount of $325,000. Article 18, curbside collection in the amount of $145,600. Article 19, summer recreation in the amount of $13,000. Article 20, J. Niles Memorial Library in the amount of $172,781. Article 21, ambulance service in the amount of $38,600. Article 22, hydrants and street lights in the amount of $347,000. Article 23 is to accept all revenues received. The estimated amount is $2,068,700. Article 24 is just we appropriate the money that we receive, that we get from to the J Snowmobile Club that we receive annually from Inland Fisheries and Wildlife for snowmobile registrations. Article 25 is to give $1 for each ATV registration done in the town of Jay to the ATV Club. Article 26 is to, as another pass-through, to give the money from the cable franchise fees to public access TV. Article 27 is $750 for the J Historical Society. Article 28 is $11,450 for Spruce Mountain Insurance. Article 29 is $2,275 for July 4th fireworks. Article 30 is $500 for Spruce Mountain Ski Club. Article 31 is $675 for the North J Grange. Article 32 is $2,750 for the AYS insurance, and that's coming out of the Tower Fund. Article 33 allows the town to set up tax clubs for people to make 8 monthly installments instead of using the due dates with no interest charged. Article 34 is to authorize the payment of tax abatements approved by the Select Board for property tax overlay or from the undesignated fund balance if necessary. Article 35 is to appropriate from the undesignated fund balance those funds deemed necessary by the Select Board to reduce the tax commitment. Article 36 is for a right-of-way easement on Lookbrook. And Article 37 is a sewer easement and a private sewer line to accept it along Whistle Stop Way. Whoops, did you have a question, Leanne?
Not to the end.
Okay. And Article 38 is to vote by secret ballot next year.
You know, on the third selectman, isn't that a one-year seat?
Yes, it is.
It's listed as a third 3-year term?
Yeah. That is correct on the ballot.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, we fixed it on the ballot.
Okay.
Anybody else have any
Well,
questions?
some change, but that was a word.
It's probably on these that are printed.
Oh,
But it's correct up.
but it didn't have that. The ones that I printed, the ones from the town report.
Oh,
That was the way we were looking at it.
okay. So the town report was right, the
Yeah.
ballot was right. Okay.
Just checking.
We gotta change it in 3 different places when we find an error. But thank you for pointing that out.
Well, I didn't know, I thought I was in the lead for 1 year.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime commitment.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Next, the Board of Assessments agenda. Abatement application, Pixelle, Androscoggin LLC, and Pixelle Specialty Solutions LLC. Asking for the dismissal of the abatement. Anybody got any questions or comments? I know we'll still be working with them, looking into next year. I'll make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the abatement request and the subsequent withdrawal request, and make a motion to dismiss the abatement request.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all those in favor? And now we'll go into the Select Board agenda. The first thing is the minutes. Okay, let's have a question, I have one for on the minutes of last time, we talked about the aerial photo project and the missing money there. Did the county come back with any information?
I have not heard anything more on the county, from the county. I did ask, because one of the things that Terry brought up at the meeting was whether people were actually using that data from when the county did it last time. So I asked that of the E911 person that we, John and I deal with at the state, and then also our assessors at O'Donnell's. And the lady at the 911 office said, yes, they do use That's what our E911 maps are based on, is the data that the county did last time. And that when you call, like Franklin Dispatch, they're using that mapping. So it is being used. What was done by the county last time is being used. And it would all be updated if the county did go forward.
Thank you. Thanks for following. Anybody else have any questions? Next, the energy audit. Wait a minute. Make a motion to approve the minutes of February 22nd. First motion made and seconded, and all those in favor? Now the energy audit.
Okay, so Ron and Richard, feel free to jump in here anywhere. So we've been working with a company on the energy audit of the building, and they came back last week with the results of the lighting piece of it, and said it's definitely worthwhile to look at upgrading the lighting to LED lighting. It was approximately a 3-year payback to convert that lighting, the energy savings that you're going to realize. So I was under the impression that we were going to get like, this is what you should do, and then this is what you should take and give out to people to get pricing. But we actually get a proposal from them to do the work. So now we're trying to figure out what we do next. Obviously, I can bring the proposal to you guys, but if you want to look at getting quotes from other vendors to do the work, I don't know how you want to handle it.
I know we use a local company to do some of our electrical.
We've got 2 companies that we use, one more often and one occasionally to do work. So we could check with them if we want to have a comparison, or we could check with them to see if they'd be willing to do it. The gentleman that we've been working with has spent a lot of time at our building, going through everything and coming up with different options and what the best pricing would be for the options that we have. He's gone through efficiency main to figure out the efficiency main credits on it. So basically, if we had another contractor, we look at them to do the same thing, to come in and do an assessment on their own. I don't think we can really give them his work to do their own assessment and come up with a cost for what it would be to replace for that lighting.
What about a solar energy audit to determine the feasibility of putting a few panels on the roof that would help pay for the HVAC system, the heating system, and the lighting for the town office? Because that's another proposal that I don't think we've taken a hard look at, and there's a 26% efficiency gain, federal tax credit for that as well. So I'd like to see some figures in that regard and what kind of a proposal that would entail.
Now, this energy audit's lights,
Correct, lighting,
just like.
just the lighting. Yes.
But I noticed in your minutes you said you needed additional information regarding HVAC system.
Right, he did
So
give us
that's
information on the HVAC and a couple different proposals for HVAC, that heat pumps and another different idea as well. But we don't have what it would cost just to replace the units that we have now. So that's something we need to start with, just to have a comparison as a base.
What are you talking about, replacing what? With what?
In kind, replacing the ones we have in kind, what that cost would be.
What do you mean? I don't.
Replacing the current system.
Oh, what system is that?
The HVAC system that we have right now,
And how is that? Is that a central HVAC system?
there's 3 units on the roof. If you remember last year, about this time last year, maybe December last year, we changed. We ended up having to replace one of the heating the units inside one of the units. But there's 3 up there on top of the roof, and they're all reaching, they were all at the same time, they're all reaching into life, so.
So is the efficiency audit taking into consideration the possibility of putting in a heat pump system? That way eliminate the air conditioning system, which would be separate from the heating system, which would all be run by electricity.
That was one of the options that they gave us. But in comparing that cost, we said we don't have what it's just to replace the ones we have. We don't even know that. So he didn't give us a price for that. That's another piece of, that we kind of got to fill in there. So we're kind of doing it in pieces. We'd like to handle the lighting first and then focus on the HVAC.
Wouldn't it be more sensible to consider the whole package deal rather than to do it piecemeal? Or is that a proposal that's going to be offered by the efficiency group doing the audit?
No, that's what I'm talking about, is the guy that's doing the audit right now. And he's proposed it as a lighting piece and then as a HVAC piece.
And what is our proposal? I mean, I know that's what he's proposing to us, but have we looked into the proposal of having all three combined, doing it once, and then spreading it over a 3 or 4 year period as far as?
One of the problems is it's not the same people. Like the people that do the lighting are not necessarily the same people that do the HVAC.
Right, and that's why I was suggesting perhaps looking into another vendor, like solar energy.
I didn't research solar because the board in the past has indicated that they didn't have an interest in that. So I didn't go down that road. And it wasn't one of the pieces that he's proposed doing anything with at this point. So really right now we're just kind of looking at the lighting piece of it.
Okay.
So that's all we looked at versus energy audit, was the light.
The lighting and the HVAC, but like I said, the HVAC, we were going to get some more information on, so.
So we'll end up with 3 separate proposals, right? One for heating, one for the HVAC, and one for the lighting.
Well, the heating and the HVAC would be one.
It's all the same? It's a combination of heating and ventilation, right? Okay. So you get 2 proposals.
Correct.
Right now, we're looking at just the one that we do have, which is the lights.
Right, and it's the interior lighting is what we're looking at right now.
Changing them. The big question is, do we want to look at 2 others, or we just want to concentrate on that one? I'd kind of like to see the local one here, is if you would be interested, anybody else here. And maybe they won't be interested,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, and I don't know if they will or not, or if we can talk with them. Like I said, he spent a significant amount of time in the office, so I don't know if they're all really willing to do that, to be able to come up with, what they propose and how much it'll be, what the savings is, and whether they can also get efficiency meeting credits, weigh in their costs as well.
Everybody kind of agree with that?
You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I guess.
I just think the more options we have on the table, the better answers that we can provide or get from various vendors.
Next, tax acquired properties. There are 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
One is on Otis Street. The other one is 1031 Main Street. Questions, comments? Motions? Let's take it one at a time. Let's take Otis Street. Do you want to explain anything on that, Rhonda, on the Otis Street one?
Well, I think we're either ready to put it out to bid or to decide to tear it down and sell the lot or retain the lot. You've got pictures there.
I second that motion.
If you do decide to sell it, those are the taxes that are in the sewer due, and then there's a water bill that's due. You'd also probably want to add some in there for advertising and for attorney fees. We did send it to the attorney. He said, you know, you sell it with a quit claim deed. You're basically giving your interest. It has to be 5 years to give a clear title, but that's what we've done in the past is a quit claim deed. If somebody was going to buy that to rent it out, it would need extensive work.
Anybody got any questions? Looks like we're talking roughly about $6,000 without extra charges.
How big's the lot that it's on that
Any idea?
I didn't look it up.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, maybe a quarter acre.
It's not much more than 75 feet wide. I don't know how deep it goes, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully quarter of an acre, I guess.
Yeah.
Above Water Street, it's not the place on the corner, it's the next one.
Yeah, the one we sold last time, it's the one behind it.
Yeah. So what we have here is just the valuation of the building itself.
This is the tax.
And the sewer. Sewer, right? Sewer tax.
Yeah.
Taxes and sewer due.
And the water bill.
And then the water bill is from Livermore Falls usually. If we do sell it, we try to, in good faith, if we get our money back, we try to pay the water district off.
And the question really is how do we want to handle this? Do we want to put it out to bid? Do we want to tear it down and try to sell the land?
And you could choose also, if you decide you want to sell it, to put it with the realtor, or to sell it at auction. I know Wilton has done that several times, put some of their properties out for auction. So those are a couple other options if you want to sell it.
Yeah, I was thinking about selling it at an auction. If somebody wants it, they can buy it for the back taxes and the water and the sewer, pay for any other deed costs or whatever associated with it. And then whoever buys it can do whatever they like with it. They can tear it down, rebuild it, or renovate it, or whatever. It's not, but I think we should try to do whatever we can to get our money back, right?
Which would be over the minimum bid, is what we're saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know what the minimum bid would be. Those two numbers together. Well, I think we could go a little higher than that, I mean.
Yes, and
What would the cost be to tear it down and then sell it too? Because that would be part of the cost if you need to sell the land. Is there a cost, you know what it costs to knock the building down?
I got an idea, there's somewhere around $12,000 it's going.
12,000?
Yeah.
So then you're up to over 18,000 to sell it for the lot?
No, we don't owe the other 6. They owe the town that 6, that would just go away.
Go away.
You just tear it down and haul it to waste management. We tore the Purrington house down on the corner of Hyde and 133 a few years ago. That thing weighed 99 tons. This house is a whole lot smaller. Tipping fee is still only $63, so figure $5,000 or $6,000 over there, the rest to get it to.
Do you know what it costs to have the auctioneer do it?
And don't know. It's a percentage, kind of like a realtor.
Yeah.
Having been in it, I'd say that's a wonderful idea to send it right off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, then might be like they just put it up for auction and see what you get for it first.
It's 0.11 acres.
It's bigger than home.
It's a lot of room out back. There's nothing on the street, right? It goes just like this and
I
stops.
think it was a swimming pool like that at one time.
Really?
It looks like there's a fence out there,
Yeah.
piece of fence.
There are towns that, I mean, Rumford's one of the major ones that when they tax acquire property, kind of looks at them for, is it something that the town would be better off if we took this building down? You know, are we looking at downtown beautification or making more space for parking or to have larger lots with some of the neighboring properties? You know, they kind of go through that analysis, and that's why that's one of the suggestions that we said, you know, the board could at least consider. We've had a couple of these that we sold for either what was owed or even less than what was owed in past years, and some of them, you end up in the same situation in a few years because the people that buy them get them so cheaply and then don't invest in them and don't pay the taxes on them, and then in another few years you're sitting back here with the same property.
And And they never fix them up.
They don't fix them up, and there's trash problems and general assistance and,
I believe Livermore Falls has taken down 7 in the last 10, 11 years.
when we were there looking at the property, somebody requested that we have parking on both sides of the street there. I mean, you could also tear it down and make some parking for, there's not a whole lot of parking down there.
Who would we be making the parking for?
Well, I mean, just make the lot empty or for the neighborhood. I mean, there's not a lot of parking in Chisholm.
There is only one driveway right into that house, and it's about a car, like,
Yeah.
I don't know about the legalities of making it a parking. I don't know if you'd have any legal responsibilities.
Be concerned we had to take care of the parking lot going forward.
I would, if I got to that point, I would prefer to sell it.
Would $10,000 be sufficient to take care of all of the expenses already accrued with that? I mean, and a little profit for the town?
10,000 would cover all of that back.
Yeah, I mean, the registrar and all the changing of the deeds and all of that, so that should be sufficient. I'd make a motion that we sell the property for $10,000, advertise it for that as a minimum bid. Open that minimum bid.
So you're saying for minimum bid of 10,000?
Yeah, that way we know we're gonna be able to recoup all of our funds and stuff like that. And if we don't get any takers at that, then we can come back and change another decision, either auction it off or tear it down. We'll still have those options still available to us, but what I'd like to do is see if we can recoup the investment that we have in that property before we do anything else.
Is 10,000 a little bit too high to cover all the costs?
Well, that will cover all, yeah, I mean, we have 55 and then 163, the 55, 17 is including all the registry costs. I think the legal fee is usually around 300, and then it costs, I don't know, 100 or so to advertise it.
That's why I said 10. I just picked the ballpark figure that I know was greater than what was there before us, not knowing what the other costs may accrue between now and the time that we put it out for bid.
So you're making a motion for 10,000 minimum bid?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
second?
Are we gonna advertise it? Are we gonna have an auctioneer come in? How are we gonna handle it?
We can advertise, I think.
Yeah, I would advertise for 10,000.
How much are we gonna have tied up in advertising in my next?
Last time when we did this, was it last year? What did we do? We put it out on Facebook, we put it out on our emails, I think we put it in the Bulldog. I don't know that we actually took any ads out. I don't think we paid for ads in that sense. I think we may have through the Bulldog, which was
$40. Yeah, we can advertise cheaper if you want, and just do it. If you take an ad out in the regular newspaper, it's probably gonna cost you a couple hundred. If you want to just do Facebook, website, and the Daily Bulldog, keep it under.
That's up to the administration, they can handle that in the way they
Well, it
want.
depends
I don't
on what you
have
want to
a
spend.
problem with that. I just want to make sure that if you decide to pay, have a legal advertisement in the newspaper, and pay for ads in 3 or 4 papers, that $10,000 will cover all of our interest, taxes, sewer, water, advertising costs, deeds, and all of that.
It will.
I don't think 10,000 is too much.
It will.
It will cover it all.
It will cover it all, but is that how you want us to advertise it? Is
As a
everywhere?
minimum bid.
Right, but do you want to spend the money to put it in the Sun Journal?
I don't, it doesn't matter to me, as long as we don't exceed the $10,000 that we're trying to
No, you
do.
won't, but you might not get it back if you don't sell it.
Right, then if we don't, then we'll have to go through another process of maybe auctioning it off, or look at perhaps tearing it down.
yeah, if you auction or put it with the realtor, they do the advertising.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put it with an advertiser, that's fine, I mean, or auction, or a realtor, I don't know. They ask for a percentage anyway, right? We get like 20%, whatever the sale value, or whatever the sale, and then they can sell it. They don't.
10% for commercial and
Yeah,
45% for residential.
What is it?
But realtor commission, 4 to 5% right now.
I was being very generous.
They would love to get that one.
I want to be a realtor if I can get that.
But that's a decision we also have to make, you know. Now we're talking auction, we've talked real estate, we just talked basically going out and advertise for bid.
Well, like Charlotte said, we've done this before, and we just advertise for a minimum opening bid and see where it goes, right? That's all I was suggesting. I didn't want to get into the weeds of it all, because I was going to try to make one decision here tonight, move forward. If that doesn't work, we'll come back and do something different.
Okay, so your motion, just to make sure we all understand it, is to have a minimum bid of $10,000 from going out for advertisements and papers and all the other.
Yeah.
Motion made. I'll second it. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Yeah, I was just looking at the calendar, so if we put it out right off, I think maybe your next meeting, the 22nd, would be kind of quick to have them back. So we'll do the first meeting in April, if that works. Yeah.
Might sell better in June, though.
Things are selling right now, so hopefully, keep that way.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Next one is the 1031 Main Street. Filter groups and then south, this one goes us three. Anybody got any questions, comments on this one?
So, on this one, there's a little different piece of play because the legislature, or last year or the year before, adopted legislation that put into place a different process for if the property tax payer is over 65. And this property is unique in that the owner has actually passed. One of the heirs that was living there is over 65, just over 65. And so to err on the side of caution, we've sent them the paperwork. So if you're over 65, you get the paperwork, you can fill out the paperwork and send it back to the town requesting that the town handle this under that process. So they have 30 days to apply for it to be handled that way. So for the next 30 days, we can't do anything. If they do make that application and do qualify, then there's a process where it gets put with the realtor and it's all part of the proceeds go back to the family. If they don't apply, then the situation is going to be just like the one we just dealt with. It would be for the board to decide what to do with it. So the question in the meantime, while they have this 30 days to apply for this special provision, is do you want to accept payment in full of all 3 years taxes and sewer during that time and allow them to redeem the property that way?
I would say yes. I mean, we've done that with other properties, right?
We've never done this before. This is a new law.
No. I'm talking about redeeming the entire property for.
They had that opportunity for the last 30 days.
For the last 30 days.
Right, so they would, if the 65 provision wasn't in place, they would be in the exact same spot as the one I just dealt with, 2 Oak Street, that had that 30 days to redeem it, and had the 30 days before that to get paid just the first year back, so.
We're not there yet.
We are there, but now they've got this extra 30 days because they're over 35 to apply for that other provision. Over 65, sorry. So if in that 30 days you want to let them pay in full, we've never dealt with this piece. So there's 2 sides. You could say, well, you've had every opportunity to pay that everyone else usually gets, so you're done and we're not letting you. Or you could say, yes, pay the 3 years, we'll take it, and we're done for the next 3 years.
But none of that can happen as far as redeeming the property for the last 3 years until after April 5th.
No, that could happen within the next 30 days. If you allow it, then they could come in tomorrow, pay for the past 3 years, and they would redeem it and this would go away. But if you say no, we foreclosed and you don't have that ability anymore, then they can fill out that paperwork, and then if they're eligible, we put it with the realtor and give them a portion of the proceeds, but there's no real provision for them redeem the property anymore, other than buy it if it was out for bid or for the realtor like everybody else did.
Thank you.
Basically, for 30 days, we can't do anything.
Unless you want to let them
Yes.
pay. Correct, yes.
So that's our decision, to let them, we're not going to be able to foreclose on it for 30 days. And if now we have to decide if they come in, if they miss the first 30 days. That's the question.
So the board should decide if they want to allow payment in full during the extended time period, right?
Correct.
So move. Give them that opportunity.
To accept if they pay within the next 30 days the full amount, 3 years.
I'm trying to get out of the real estate business as easily and as quickly as I can, and that's the quickest and fastest way of being able to figure that out, to do it that way.
Yeah, well, we can't do anything in 30 days. Huh?
Right.
I'll second the motion. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Right. Well, opposed.
Anybody opposed?
Oh, yeah. I thought everyone knew that right off the bat.
Do you have another motion? Because that doesn't.
This is going to pass unanimously,
Because Tim is abstaining.
so it
He
has to
has a
pass
conflict,
unanimously.
so it has to be.
We'll look to you, Tom, for a motion. You didn't like that one. What do you
They have
suggest?
just as much of an opportunity to pay their taxes in the time frame as everyone else. If you give them a different opportunity than everyone else, then we're gonna be here with everyone else that has a problem saying they want the same opportunity. So, they shouldn't have the opportunity to pay their taxes for the next 30 days. They've already lost the property. It's a matter of just going through the steps needed to complete the process.
Regardless of the age.
Regardless of age.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Go on.
So you're making a motion?
That's a motion.
Any seconded? I'll second the motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Now we wait.
So,
I would think that you need a motion to allow them to pay, you don't need a motion to not allow them to pay, so I would think that we don't allow them to pay. That's my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer.
I would say the board has to give them the ability to pay. If you don't give them the ability to pay, then by default, they don't get it. So they can't, we won't accept their payment. We will confirm that, but I believe that's the
So there'll be no, there doesn't have to be a decision of the board then, right?
If you want to allow them to pay, I would think we need a vote to allow them to
I
pay.
tried that.
But we don't, so that's what I
And
think.
Tom wanted to get them out, so I know we approved.
No, I just want to pay the taxes like everyone else does.
Okay, next, Church Street Sidewalk.
Church Street Sidewalk, I did, 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, talking about paving Church Street this coming season. Bringing that street up, fix the pavement on that street requires that the sidewalk be brought up to better spec standard that it's at now, for sure, ADA standards. There's a sidewalk on both sides of that street, and I asked if you want to fix both sides or one side. That's pretty much where we're at.
Question,
Yes.
do both sidewalks have to be brought up to ADA standards? If you have one with ADA standard, would it have to have the other one as well? I know it would be to be compliant, but can you have just one Is that standard in the other?
Not if you declare it one or the other, not a sidewalk, leave it as it is, and stop maintaining it as a sidewalk. It's not a sidewalk. That's what the DOT does when they went up through with Route 4 and places like that.
Yeah.
People were hauling about the sidewalk, but narrow on this side. It's not a sidewalk, it's a snow shelf, they call it. They would still plow snow there, the curb would still stay there, because the curb directs the water to the basins, but
Right.
behind it can be grass, doesn't have to be that.
I think the feedback that I see is that people only really one suffices. As a view, yes.
I don't mean to be controversial, but I've got calls from people on the other side of the sidewalk, on the north side, on the south side, who say they like it because there's a lot of elderly people there. Even though they have to walk around a telephone pole, they like that idea of that sidewalk being there. They don't have to cross the road if that sidewalk's eliminated. So I'm going to be advocating for the maintenance of both sidewalks.
We can construct two sidewalks.
Yeah, and
Probably not this year.
I mean, you're right. The other thing that people have been asking me about was, can we support our local businesses in the community by having granite curbing along the north side of the sidewalk, or doing that area?
The other board is looking here, you can do anything you want. I told you $20,000 a side roughly. If you're gonna continue with the south side, there's 10 power poles over there, something's gotta happen with. Or you've gotta bring the sidewalk inside of the folds, which you can do. But you're gonna lose 5 to 6 feet of road to do that. To fix the other side of the road, you've gotta run a curve up beside the existing and pay everything behind it to get your width and your proper sidewalk over there, along with the rail plates and all the other stuff that comes with it. So your road's gonna be narrowed out, so then you wanna start eliminating parking on one side of it. Because you don't have enough room to park on both sides of that. Once you narrow that street up 7, maybe 8 feet, you don't, so you'd have to look at that. So if you don't want to narrow the street, then you tell the CMP to move 10 poles. God knows what that's going to cost, but I tried to meet my guy down there last week 4 different times, but he was put on wind damage duty. He was all over the state. He called me this afternoon, about noon. Wanted to know if he could get down, but the street's cordoned off, so we couldn't, because of what's going on down there, so. I still haven't met with anybody from CMP. I always talk with the municipal rep, but nobody's really given us a number of what that would cost, when it would happen. If you want to sidewalk on both sides of the road, something's got to.
But if you leave the south side sidewalk the way it is, reconstruct the road and redo the north sidewalk,
Yep.
and then at a later date do the other one, to upgrade it, all do is do paving it, right? I mean, you wouldn't have to move the curb. Why would you have to move the curb?
It ain't wide enough. You gotta have 60 full inches for an ADA sidewalk. It's not wide enough in one place.
So if you have a sidewalk, it has to be ADA acceptable. Both of them.
If you bring that,
Not just one.
if you rebuild the street that has a sidewalk on it, the sidewalk needs to be brought up to the state.
Both of them. See, that's my question. I thought only one had to be.
Well, I guess I'm not a lawyer either, as they said earlier, but I don't understand why the ADA would say, one's good. I don't get that. If you're down in Boston, you got a sidewalk on both sides of the street, they don't tell you you have a piece of shit over there, that's not gonna be a standard though. I mean, I can't imagine how that is, but a quick read of the ADA would figure that out.
Okay.
Yes,
I also believe it would bring you up to liability, because if someone tripped or fell on that side or anything else, someone's gonna sue us because it wasn't built up to the standard where if it's eliminated, process is down. So I'd make a motion to build a sidewalk on the side that's most cost effective for the town of Jay.
on the south side.
Whichever one's most cost effective.
The north side is new.
So north side's only got one pole,
Yep, do it on the north side.
and 2 drains. That would be the easiest side to build a nice looking ADA acceptable sidewalk. The other side will stay as it is, but pretty much what you said, without the further
If we
upgrade.
don't do anything to it, we can't be held.
Perfect, we're just gonna push snow on it, we're not gonna plow, we're not gonna go haul sidewalk plow, it's not gonna be a sidewalk anymore. It's gonna be a place to plow snow like they do in front of my house, your house, Tom's house, your house, everybody plow Randy's house.
Got no sidewalks, that's where we're at.
Interesting.
You don't have having them come on the road, the walls.
Motion made to just have one on
They will provide.
left, Anybody opposed? Raise your hands. Road postings.
Our road out posting ordinance says that I have to come to the next scheduled selectmen's meeting after I posted roads. We did so last week. I think I called again, but it's gonna get warm tomorrow. They're up, and you can either tell me to take them down, you idiot, or leave them where they're at.
Leave them. We can travel the road as long as it's below 30.
As long as it's frozen, yeah. Had my first request this morning.
I'll make a motion to confirm the posting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to confirm the posting. All those in favor? Public Works truck.
Well, that's me again. Yeah, I was in a while back, and you agreed to buy an F600 cab and chassis. I'll give you some information on the plow gear and the body.
Anybody got any questions? This is just for info for us, but
You changing plows now?
By changing plows.
Yeah, it shows a poly plow, am I misreading that?
Well, we've got several polys. They work just fine. You get either one,
The last one we bought, fishes for it.
that's worst case scenario, that number too. We've got some stuff we can much trade with this particular company and get that down and avoid it.
I just noticed the difference from what we've been doing.
They originally quoted a 10-foot plow, we shortened it to 9.
Really?
We have enough frame trouble up there without hanging that up there.
These people awake at night anyway.
Gary?
It keeps people awake at night anyway when you go down.
Yeah. It's when the pins wear out, they get sloppy, they're really big.
Yeah.
The one that's on there now, this truck's plowed Chisholm for 9 years, the little F550, that's been a good rig for that. But she's ready to go down the road.
So this quote we got here is the only quote that we have for that?
That's the only, yeah, the board agreed last time we did this that we could stay with the
Yeah.
unique features. So we buy one chain, one set of sprockets, one
So you're looking for approval of $35,040.50?
at worst.
So move.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Oh, no, that's not good.
No. You didn't dictate where that came from. So and
Oh, you were right.
that stuff is 75 to 90 days out,
You want it.
which is another reason I'm here this time of year. And if winter stays where it is, I'm able to buy that out of budget if you don't care about that, so.
Oh, we do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, could qualify if you want to approve buying it out of budget if possible, and if not, come out of town.
Always better buy it out of budget now because we don't know where our tax base is going to be next year.
Good point. And we, salt use is down this year, overtime is down, everything is down this year. And we're looking good to the middle of this month, and that gets us down to a couple of weeks to go.
Going on now, what we just.
So the motion to take it out of this year's budget is part of my original motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Is that better? John, you're done.
Good.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Recreation Committee, updated improvement land and funding request.
So the amount that was on that paper that I sent to you, the total was wrong. You can see that it was obviously wrong. It should be $7,610 for the total. But the one item that there was some question about whether it would really be worthwhile to do was the snowmobile tracks, which are $3,500. So if you take those out, $4,110.
The shallow, what's the year of the four-wheeler that they wanted to put tracks on?
I knew when you told John he could leave that I
Sorry
would
about
read
that.
that.
I got a pretty good idea.
It's the old
I want to hear it from someone else.
That was the old.
Yeah. The only problem is you're gonna put tracks on the machine, that the tracks cost more money than the machine does.
Right.
To me personally, I find it to be a.
That's why basically they all agree. this town without that 4110. Anybody else got any questions? Comments? So I'll make the motion that we allow 4,110 to the Recreation Committee and it to be taken out of the tower recreation account.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Fire department bill.
So this is something new that's relatively new the last year or so, that fire departments are starting to bill for fire accidents. I think it's a good way for us to get some money brought back. We do over a third of our calls are car accidents. Last year we went to 103, I believe.
If I read this, basically, this company that's doing this handles everything.
Yeah, basically I do my normal fire report, then I'll have to do a fire report to give to them. In addition, I guess they have access to the police report. And basically they bill, they take care of all of it, they get 20% profit, we get the other 80.
Questions?
Are there any towns we're aware of that are doing this and feedback from that?
So I know right now, Wilton, I believe is a dog. Turner is, I'm friends with Nate, the fire chief in Turner. He's been doing it about 6 months, 7 months. He's recouped between $5,000 and $7,000 already. And he says it's really working out well for him.
I think we should look into it in a little more detail.
I mean, basically, we'd have to write, I believe, a town ordinance, decide what we want to do. I know there's a lot of departments that don't want to bill their own citizens.
And who are you billing, the person that's at fault?
Nobody goes to the both cars.
So if somebody pulls through and hits you, it's not your fault, you have to pay too?
I think that's how it goes, I'm not 100% sure.
So your insurance.
It goes right to the insurance company. Most of the time, according to the guy that runs this company, that most of the time they pay, there's no question asked. Because there is part of the policy that you actually pay that covers that.
So the fire department doesn't make a claim against the insurance
We
company?
don't do anything, I just submit our run sheet in a report to this company here, and they do all of that.
So, I mean, right now, at the present time, you just go to an accident and that's it.
We don't do anything.
Free.
We come home and that's it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is, there's certain calls, like say we have a fatal car accident, we're there 3, 4, 5 hours. Most car accidents we use speedy drop, and that's $20, $30 a bag. Sometimes we use up to 5 bags of a crash. We never recoup any of this money.
Seems like most towns are beginning to.
A lot of, I know, if you want to talk to Chris Bryant, I've been trying to get a hold of Rumford Fire Chief. When I've been working in Mexico, I haven't seen them, but I believe they're on board with this. They're going to start that soon. There's a lot of towns around us that are in talks.
So other fire departments do file insurance claims, don't they?
No.
They don't.
This is relatively new to the fire service. That's what this company does. We don't directly
I
deal with
understand,
insurance.
but like, Farmington doesn't do that. They use a service like this, or they use it.
Farmington does right now, I don't believe Farmington does.
They don't charge for call.
We go home, we come home, we pay taxes, that's it.
I think not all towns did that. I mean.
That's why I said this is relatively new. I mean, that's, the EMS world, they charge you for anything. They come to your house, you get the bill.
Yeah.
It's new to the fire service. Don't know why, it should have been done years ago.
Well, I mean, I can understand fire, if you have to go to a house fire in the town, the property's in the town, and respond to that, yes. But a car accident, an automobile accident, or somebody gets caught out on the ice in the Androscoggin or something, the fire department responds to that. I mean, Those are the instances where I think our company should be assessing the insurance companies for that. Because that's outside of your regular jurisdictional duties and responsibilities.
I know, like, speak-
This is part of it, but
Talked with one of my chiefs, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but basically your tax dollars pays to have the service. Then the people that use it get the bill, I guess. I think for us, I think the way our town's going and, you know, money's an issue, I think it's a good way to recoup some money. I mean, it's a lot, it's gonna be, it's gonna be some more work for me, but, you know, I'm going to do it.
well, if you have an outside agency like this that does it, there's no work to you. I mean, you just do your regular report.
I still have at least an hour report after each call to give to them to do this.
You wouldn't normally do that anyway, huh?
It's in addition to what I'm doing. 'Cause right now, I just do a fire report for the state,
Or accident.
for any call that we do. I don't do an action report unless I'm working for the police department. We just do a fire report.
Yeah, okay.
But then it's basically that and just a little bit more information. And then they take care of everything else.
So you want to look into this a little bit more and find out what other communities, you know, before we go ahead and
We
say,
already have the information, and just, if it's something you guys are willing to do, then we have to decide what we want. We have to write an ordinance, we have to figure out what we want to build, how much we want to build. And
So
we've
my
got,
suggestion would be is that the board is in favor of going down this road. Like Mike said, the next step is to come up with a policy or an ordinance. And within that policy or ordinance, there's different things that the board could choose that they want to do. One would be, do you want to build your residence? Some towns build their residence, some towns don't. Turner builds, I think, accidents on Route 4. That's where they build. So they also have a little bit of discretion. They only build true accidents. I mean, they don't build true accidents. They build, like if somebody was on their cell phone and was distracted, well, there was a cause behind that, so they would build the insurance company. If it was an icy road condition and somebody just went off the road and the fire department got called out, they might not bill for that one. So they, in theirs, have a little bit of discretion. So there's different ways that the town can handle it. So my suggestion is if you want to go down this road, Mike and I and who's on the fire committee, Terry, Tim, could sit and Mike's officers or whoever and come up with a draft of something and, you know, kind of outline, these are the areas where the board would need to make a decision and have a couple options on those type of things. Just so that you have an outline of what it would look like and have that be kind of the next step.
and the gentleman that pretty much runs this from Central Maine Recovery, we have other towns' policies and stuff to go over, just so we can,
Right.
so we can see.
And
where
then a
we're
fee
going.
schedule, that would be the other piece. You have to develop a fee schedule for what we charge. So we could look at what the other communities charge for fee schedules and kind of come up with an outline for that as well. But before we kind of went down that road too far, we wanted to make sure this is something that we want to pursue first.
I think we have to do it. Everybody else thinks.
well, no, I'm not in favor of giving Mike more work. He's got enough work as it is, but if he thinks he doesn't mind doing the extra work to see if we can get a little bit of revenue, then
For the good of the department, I'll take the hit.
I'll be in favor of it.
Good. Well, we have to look at it, and not really okay anything at this point, we have to write some stuff up, and know exactly what we're talking about, we'll be going all the way.
Yeah. It's after we do the fee schedule and policy or whatever, the ordinance. It's gonna have to come back to the board now.
Right.
We're all in agreement, we expect to do the next step. What?
The 20%, all they're doing is submitting that to the insurance
They're
company.
taking care of all whatever work is entitled to, yeah. They're
They'll
doing-
do the follow-up.
They deal with the insurance.
They fight the insurance companies and get as much as they possibly can, because the more they get 20% of whatever they get. So it behooves them to work.
But they can't charge more than what the building is.
Any other questions? Mike? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
When you guys are ready, we'll sit down. Thank you.
Other business or county budget or committee, we got 2 openings in the district we're on, which is Terry Grant. One is for 1-year term, and one is for 3-year term. We currently have Gary Green, who is on the board. Judy was, that's why it's a 1-year term. The vote is, the caucus is held April 5th. So, anybody interested to go on the budget?
I'm gonna go there only because if we make a decision that somebody from this board wants to serve, then every vote's gonna count.
No, I go. Last time we, all of us always went.
Yeah.
To protect, at least the town. Yes, Tom?
I'd be interested.
Okay. I vote for Tom.
Okay.
Me too, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Done.
Okay, so Tom will go up to 1 of the 3. All of us basically have been on the budget committee up there.
Yeah, some of us have been on more than once because we have issues.
What's
What's that? Okay, I'll be down through the date. March 22nd, select board meeting. March 23rd, sewer committee meeting at the Livermore Falls Town Office.
That one might need to be canceled. Yeah, that might be postponed. I will know for sure tomorrow, but it's likely as being postponed.
March 26th, absentee ballots available for town meeting vote. April 5th, county caucus at 5 at the county courthouse. April 12th, select board meeting 6 here at the gym. April 26th, select board meeting 6 here at the gym. April 27th, town meeting vote.
That's what the middle school. Sorry.
That'll be right here.
That's at the middle school.
At the
Middle school?
Yeah, where we're going in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go into the regular session on chapter 13, 4, 5,
Good luck.